to tell us about the exceptional life and times of our 2025 CJF Tribute honoree, please welcome an award-winning journalist, filmmaker, author, podcast creator, and the love of my life, Michelle Shepherd. Michelle, come on up, pal.
I'm shaking. He just said love of my life. I have the great honor to say a couple words about my dear friend, Tanya Talaga. And I can tell you right now, she's terrified. Because 27 years ago, I asked her to be the MC at our wedding. And she believed that some reason to be an MC, you should roast the bride. And I have been waiting to pay her back ever since. Now, unfortunately for all of you, that's almost impossible. Because Tanya, or TT, as we call her, is not only a wonderful journalist and writer, filmmaker, now activist, public speaker, but she's also a beautiful person. On my first day at the Toronto Star, May 1st, 1995, I was told I would be sharing a desk with another summer intern. These are the days when you had to share desks because there were so many reporters. And there stood this tall, elegant woman with tremendous hair, and I'd met her once before at U of T at Varsity. And she was an editor there, and she scared the hell out of me. But once we started talking, I quickly discovered she was goofy and sweet and probably more awkward than cool, and certainly not scary. And we immediately hung on to each other and have never let go since. Over the years, I've watched Tanya grow as a journalist, as a mother to William, who's here tonight, and Natasha, as a daughter to the equally fierce Sheila. And when she began writing Seven Fallen Feathers, I gave her the talk I would give any new author, which is like, okay, TT, manage your expectations. You're probably not gonna make back your advance. And don't worry about bestseller lists. And I'm so happy I was so wrong. As we all know here, Tanya's books sparked a national conversation, and she was finally recognized as the force that she is. But even with this new fame and responsibility, I still see my big-hearted friend TT, who sometimes forgets when she's telling a story that she's driving. So when we're at 20 kilometers, you have to kind of nudge her to keep driving. And even though she's this poised and powerful figure on the world stage, that woman can trip over her feet in a dime. So there, we're even. That's the ribbing. That's the gentle roasting I'll do. TT, I'm so proud of you. I know how hard you work and how hard it's been to get here. I know how hard you fight and how heartbreaking and frustrating it often is. And I'm incredibly proud of you. I'm thankful for all the work you do, and I can't wait to see what's next. Thank you for the years of friendship. And please join me now and we'll watch this short video on her career.
Little bird, big wings, carries a heavy burden. For acclaimed Ojibwe journalist, author, and filmmaker, Tanya Talaga, this is more than a name. It's an identity, a calling, a heavy responsibility, one that's driven her to seek out the untold stories of this land and carry them into the light, confronting the hard truths of the nation's past and present, exposing injustice and erasure, and fighting for space for the voices, perspectives, and lived grief of Indigenous peoples. When Tanya joined the Toronto Star in 1995, issues facing Indigenous communities weren't being widely reported on.
As a young Indigenous woman in the media world, I came into journalism admiring Tanya's work and aspiring to be just like her.
Tanya is something that Indigenous people value more than anything. For us, Tanya is kin. She is the force of the land, the medicine of the water, and the gravity of the stars.
After years of hard work, Tanya earned a post covering Queen's Park, and here, while boldly confronting politicians and holding power to account, she found her true voice. For the first time, she had the power to pitch her own stories, and her resulting reports would shake Canada to its very core.
At Queen's Park, Tanya Talaga was great at getting people to talk to her. Politicians and staff from all the political parties liked and respected her and then told her their secrets. TT was also very well regarded by her peers in the press gallery. What set her apart, though, was her passion for the stories that we weren't always covering.
A missing boy in Thunder Bay, a devastating pattern of abuse, secrecy, and cover-ups, a truth that Indigenous communities know all too well. Tanya's groundbreaking investigation into the deaths and disappearances of 7 First Nations youth dragged institutionalized racism and violence into the spotlight, making it impossible for Canadians to ignore. The case later becoming the basis for her debut book, 7 Fallen Feathers.
It's always refreshing to see how she finds the truth, follows the truth, and shares the truth. And she writes it in a way that all Canadians can engage with. And so I've often said, reminded people that the Truth and Reconciliation Commission said that we have an urgent need to create historically literate citizens. And Tanya has done that with all of her books and the articles that she's written throughout her career.
For over 20 years at the Toronto Star, Tanya used her unique gift to break countless stories affecting Indigenous communities, including missing and murdered Indigenous women, residential school atrocities, institutionalized violence and racism, and environmental destruction. And with her insightful writing for the Globe and Mail, she's continuing this legacy of truth.
She is an unflagging champion for her community, lifting up more local issues from Northern Ontario that might otherwise not receive our light.
Her work has earned countless awards and honors. But above all, it's inspired change, conversation, and healing across every platform, from books and documentaries to podcasts and public speaking, lifting Indigenous voices and experiences into Canada's national conversation and inspiring other storytellers to follow in her footsteps.
She's more than just a mentor. She is my auntie. And it's also how I know that while, yes, she is brilliant as a journalist and deserving of this and every other award that comes her way, I also know that she's an incredible person.
I think TT is so deserving of this award because she was always passionate and considerate and so respected by her colleagues and her friends, and I am proud to call her a friend and a colleague. And TT, we love you. Congratulations.
Tanya, congratulations for being recognized this evening for your important and exceptional work. Thank you for your dedication to the truth and for telling difficult stories with such care and eloquence.
Tanya, thank you for always supporting me, for inspiring us all, and for being a leader for all Indigenous women and journalists.
I want to say congratulations to Tanya on this achievement. And I love you, and I hope you get to celebrate.
Congratulations, Tanya. It's a well-deserved honor.
She is a leader. She is a force to be reckoned with. She is someone who relentlessly holds truth to power and someone who has supported dozens of Indigenous people in their career lives and in their personal lives through the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Congratulations on receiving yet another well-deserved award. We are so proud of you. Keep being brave, keep telling our stories. They are important. Miigwech.
Please welcome Tanya Talaga.
This is so overwhelming. I really don't know what to say. True story. And I get a bowl. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I am just wowed by the video, which I did not know about till the very last minute. I pinned someone to the ground and asked them what's going on. Okay, it was actually Alvin told me. It's like, hey, I did your video. I'm like, what video? I'm just, I'm just honored and thrilled, and I can't believe this is all happening, you know? I wrote some words down. I did. Because I think that words are important. But before I talk and tell you what I wrote, I also want to say miigwech and thank you. I want to say thank you very much. Miigwech to Kathy English, outgoing chair of the board, who not only does she do really good work here, she did great work at the Toronto Star, and she often was the ombudsperson that I went crying to, and always had her door open for me. Miigwech. Natalie Turvey, I'm so grateful for you and for constantly hounding me to say, even like, what would you like for dinner? And where's your speech? And for always putting up with me and my lateness on being part of the judging panel for the CBC Indigenous internship. Yes, I'm always late, it's true. And if you know me, you know that's very true. I also want to say very much thank you to my family, to my son and my daughter, because no one does this alone, and it's not easy to be the kids of a single parent, working journalist mom who's constantly involved in the story, who takes the story home with her. They live it. They are the story as well. And so, William, I love you. And Natasha, wherever she is out there with her friends, I love you too. And a special thank you to my partner, Stuart Cox, who made the video with Natalie without me knowing it. Yeah, that was beautiful, and for always having a smile. And for Michelle, thanks for not roasting me as bad as you could. It's true, 27 years ago we shared a desk. We have not let go. Michelle has always been the one who did things first. I just followed you. I didn't have many mentors in the newsroom. You were my friend. You were my mentor, and I'm so grateful. I really had to rack my brain as to why this tribute was coming my way. Don't get me wrong, I was very grateful. But I really do not feel like I've been doing anything out of the ordinary. I have always tried to find the story. I've tried to follow the story. And all I've really done for over 25 years is ask this question in newsrooms, newspapers, in books, and on film. Why don't you care? Why don't you listen? Why don't you do something? Words are meant to haunt. They're meant to stay with you, rattle around in your mind. You're meant to think about what you read when you sleep, when you're on the TTC, when you're at your desk. Words are meant to get into the place where you think it's only you. Those words permeate. Everybody in this room is probably haunted by words, something you've read, a certain style, a language, a story that tells the truth and has stuck with you. Words are probably what got you in the seats you're in now. Organized, powerful words can bring comfort, and they can bring change. They can move legions, They can bring justice, and they can bring conflict. They can change hearts, and they can change minds. And in the words of Joseph Atkinson, a story can give voice to the voiceless. You know, I don't want to do that whole when I was growing up thing, but I do have to say when I was growing up, my brother and I, we grew up I was born in Scarborough, and then we moved, woohoo, Scarborough, thank you very much. And then we moved to north of Toronto, a little place called Markham. Yeah, it's not that little anymore, is it? And my brother and I used to think we were the only members of the Polish Native Canadian Club. There weren't too many of us around. You know, we grew up not knowing why my mother cried herself to sleep at night. We grew up not knowing why there was so much silence in my family with the women. Of course, there was a time before internet. Yes, the internet. That was a time before Facebook. There was no online community. All we had was each other. I had words. I had stories. I had books written by women like Lee Miracle. Books that I had with me, whose words kept me comfort and kept me whole. My mom used to say when we were growing up, you know, Canada has always treated us like we are invisible. They don't see us. For the longest time, Canada did not see us. And some of you know that very much to be true. You all work in newsrooms. You work in TV stations. You work for web magazines. You know that it really truly wasn't until the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, until Murray Sinclair and the commissioners traveled across this country speaking to over 7,000 survivors of Indian residential school, until he used the word genocide, until that word was all over the newspapers, the front pages, until those 94 calls to action came out in all those reports, no one was really watching. You weren't caring as much. I remember when that report came out. I remember diving into it and wanting to know how come no one was going after the children. There was one volume of the TRC that was devoted solely to the nearly 3,000 children who never came home from Indian residential school. What happened to them? Why was nobody caring? You know, it's been 10 years this month since the TRC reported. 10 years, 94 calls to action. How many have been done? 13. We have a roadmap on how to heal the spirit of this country, and I hope we all follow it. You know, when I was in the newsrooms I was in, I was lucky to work with the people that I did. And I also found it odd that when you imagined a First Nation person and we talked about our stories, about how come we didn't have clean water, why there was this giant mercury spill, Grassy Narrows, why there were women that were missing and murdered, why were there no high schools for our children in northern communities? When I would ask that question, sometimes I was told, you know, just write a couple of those stories, but don't write too many of them. No one really wants to read those stories. And writing about this was sometimes seen as a political act. That I was not being a journalist, that I was being an activist. But since when did reporting on the truth, your job as a journalist, that's your job, when did that equate to being an activist? According to whom? You know, this truth I do know. To write it, you have to walk it. You have to live it, as you heard my friend Leonard Monkman say so beautifully earlier. There has to be something inside of you, in all of us, a hunger for something that seeks clarity, to try and figure out how it is we got here. As a journalist, you know this. You also know that interviewing by email is not really doing your job. Get out there, be on the ground, talk to people, collect their stories. It is an honor for you to carry them. When I went out into the world, this is what I saw. I saw 7 youth who died in Thunder Bay with little care or notice by society, by the media, by anyone but their grieving parents and their communities. I saw northern communities where a pedophile priest abused nearly 500 victims, all boys, for 2 decades. And in these small northern Ontario fly-in communities and also northern Manitoba, there were no supports to handle the aftermaths, which happened for decades. The aftermath is still being felt. I saw Indian residential school survivors who were fighting and are still fighting, like those who survived the St. Anne's Indian Residential School, to bring their children home. I saw an over-incarceration of our people, and I saw a lack of justice for our people. I saw women murdered and missing, all the stories that went neglected. When I started writing about our missing sisters, there was a number, it was 600. We know that that was so wrong. There are thousands being trafficked, thousands that are just gone. But most importantly, of all the things that I wrote, that I saw myself. I saw my mother. I saw her mother and her mother and hers. My reporting opened up my own eyes, and they brought me home. My name is Kamusko Pimojishet Pineshish. My name is Little Bird with Big Wings who carries a heavy burden. I did not expect this award, and I'm very grateful for it. But I also want to say that I'm so grateful, too, to those who helped lift me up when they could. And you saw one of those people on the video, and that was Rob Benzie and the Queen's Park Bureau. They taught me how to yell at politicians. It's true. I was so nervous, I didn't know what to say when I got to Queen's Park, and it was Benzie that really forced me. Get up there, TT, your turn. Use your voice. Benzie, all of my colleagues and friends at Queen's Park, Miigwech, you taught me, I hope well. And when my time at the Star was over, I came to the Globe. I'm very grateful that you opened your doors to me and that you continue to open your doors to me. I'm grateful to Adrian Lee, to Natasha Hassan, to David Walmsley, you were the ones that picked up the phone when you heard I was leaving the Star and you said, would you come here, please? I write for the Globe because it's an awesome paper, but it also puts my voice in front of people who would not normally read me. This is an important thing to do. And this is also important for you to support all the upcoming voices. So many of them are behind me. Look at them all. They're in this room, You saw them on the video screens? Open your newsrooms up. Give them an opportunity. And man, what you'll see will astound you. This is Canada's heart, our spirit, our stories. This is who we are. I'm very grateful to be here tonight, and Miigwech for having me.